Hello, the last lecture on contract law. This is lecture 32, I guess. Uh, we were talking about the information stuff. Uh, and the last part we have dealt with is the unilateral mistake. So I know that this porcelain has a very good value, but the seller does not know. So the buyer has a good understanding about the value of the porcelain, and the seller didn't. So later the seller found out the porcelain is much higher value than he ever thought. So want to nullify the contract? No. Because one party has more information than the other, it cannot be a good ground for nullifying the contract. We have to compensate the person who is more informed. But then there's something special case called safety information, which has a very good economic base not to enforce the contract, nullifying the contract. Okay? Which basically means delayed revelation of the information reduces the value and safety. So when you are an expert of antique, when you purchase something, you don't have to reveal the information. This porcelain is a very, very high value antique. You don't have to do that. But there are cases you have to. The most particular case, the representative case, Obde and Schleiermacher, 1960. So I don't know which one is which once again, but one person, for example, Schleiermacher, sold the house to Obde, the name of two person, and then Schleiermacher, just before selling his house to Obde, found out his house is infested with termites. You know, termites, the white ants, which eat up all the wood in your house, and the house would be soon has to be deserted. But then he said, "Oh my God! After one, maybe soon, I will sell it to Obde, and if I tell Obde that, oh, I'm sorry that the house you purchased, you will pay next week. You purchase next week would be infested with termite." Then obviously Obde will never purchase the house. So Schleiermacher keep it a secret, sell to Obde. Obde later find out the house was infested with termites, and he sued the Schleiermacher. One may say, oh, it's the same case. The house is kind of useless. Schleiermacher knew it, Obde didn't. And, what can you do? It's unilateral misunderstanding. Same as this, like the antique expert think it's a very high value. The farmer knows that it's a fake he purchased from China, and then later the expert says, "Oh, it's my misunderstanding. I purchased it at a very high value, but it was a fake thing." And farmer, "Did you know?" Farmer said, "Yeah, I know. I purchased it that it was a fake, something like that. But that was also unilateral mistake. You don't have to pay back." However, what's different in this termite case is, one, the antique, which is valuable and fake, does not change as time passes. But when Schleiermacher hide it to Obde, maybe 1 week he hided it, and then when Obde purchased it, it took him like 2 weeks to find out. So 3 or 1 month has passed from the first discovery to actually do something. So 1 month, the house would be eaten much, much more by termites. So if they call some expert to kill the termites 1 month earlier, that the damage would be much less. So the quickly revealing information reduces the damage or the reduction of value. Then the law forces the people, even though nobody asked Schleiermacher should at least talk about the house. So usually you don't have to tell, like your car was inundated, like when there was a big rain last year, your car the engine got all wet, and you fix it, but once the engine got wet by rain, then the car value decreased a lot. When you sell your car, if the buyer, your friend Mr. Park, does not ask you, oh, this car ever been inundated or the engine got wet by rain? There's no obligation for you to tell him, oh, by the way, my car got very wet. Maybe you don't have to tell them. However, when you sell a house and the house got termites, then even though Mr. Park didn't ask you, you have to tell him in advance, oh, by the way, this house has a termites. Okay? The difference, once your car get broken, then if do something quickly, do something later, does not change anything. But then, if your house is infested with termites, you do better do it quickly, which means you have to reveal the information quickly, voluntarily to other party when you have that information. Okay, that is safety information, and I think interesting and make perfect sense economically. Cheating, of course, this is another obvious case that fraud, lying. If somebody lied to you and the contract is based on that lying, then that contract should be nullified. For example, if someone asks you, were your car ever broken down, the engine got ever changed, and even though it was, you lied, no, it never. But then the person said, oh, I can't, even though I paid up money for the car, please return my money because you lied. You lied, the engine never got fixed, but it was actually fixed. Okay? A little bit complicated stuff. Contract of adhesion. It's related to standardized contract form. When you want to purchase the insurance, okay, your like a life insurance, it's more like the insurance company give you a form and said, please, Professor Han, please check the form, and if you like, sign it. It's never like, and I say like, everything's okay, but can I increase this number? Can I change the period and things like that? And they say, no. This is the form, the standardized form in insurance. You take this or not. That is standardized contract. Okay? And we call that take it or leave it offer. So I have a already decided contract form. You sign it, or I'm not going to have a contract with you. So it's one-sided offer. And there are some reasons why this should not be enforced, because this can be used as collusion. Like, the insurance company A, insurance company B, they can compete each other to give a better condition to the consumer so that they can get more consumer. But then if they compete, they give many benefit to the consumer. As a result, the insurance company cannot make money. So probably they agree that, we agree upon this standardized, industry standardized contract form so that we are not going to compete each other. So that is collusion. So the insurance company kind of made a promise between them, of course, which is illegal, so that they would not give a discount, some benefit, extra benefit to the consumer, so that as an industry they can make more money. That is typical collusion. So it can be used as collusion, but on the other hand, if the insurance company does not have standardized contract, then they think, let's negotiate. Then, Professor Han, I never sign a contract. I'm not an expert on insurance. So it will take a long time to write down everything. So kind of as a consumer, we want to have a standardized insurance form, which is much easier to negotiate. So it's not, I'm not saying it's always collusion itself, but when there is standardized form, based on the contract of adhesion, then if you sue the insurance company, the judge would have a look at it, like not automatically. Oh, you signed voluntarily, kind of thing. So the standardized form may have a problem. Difficult thing, ethics, unconscionability, another difficult word, but it's conscience thing. It's more like Merchant of Venice, Shakespeare's novel. This Shylock, the bad merchant of Venice at the time, lend the money to Antony or something, and then if you cannot pay back, I'll cut your flesh out of your body or something, basically killing you. Okay, and that is not ethical. I mean, it has no economic problem that the ship owner voluntarily signed with Shylock in Venice that if I cannot pay my money, you can take my flesh out of me, okay? Bones out of me. So you can basically kill me. He signed it. But that has ethical problem, it says, okay? More realistic case, Williams versus Walker Thomas Furniture, 1969. Williams is a real person, a single mom with 7 children. There's no father, there's one mom raising 7 children. Very poor, of course. And then she need at least 7 bed, including her 8 bed to raise the kid. So she purchased a bed and drawers and things like tables and things like that, but she does not have money, so she rented it from Walker Thomas Furniture. But then it's complicated stuff. Like credit on add-on clause means when she purchased something, she need a mortgage. Like, oh, I want a table, but then I don't have money. I will pay it in the future. But then the furniture company has a system. Okay, I'll rent you the table, but then you may break it or something, then we cannot get the money back. So you have a bed, so like a sleeping bed. And then once you cannot pay for the table, we can take the bed. So bed would be the mortgage for the table, kind of thing, for the poor people. So Walker Thomas Furniture did that. Kind of goodwill for the, they want to make money, but also kind of helping. It was also help the poor people who cannot have furniture because they mortgage their sleeping bed or table for their drawers and their something. So that's kind of the system at the time. But then in the end, things got worse, and Mrs. Williams cannot pay for the table, automatically the bed and everything. So it was in the winter, and then the Walker Thomas Furniture, according to the contract, take out everything from Williams. So Williams' family now has no table, no bed. They should sleep on the floor, kind of thing, in a cold day, something like that. And the judge said, based on conscionability, based on ethic, conscience, don't you think Mrs. Williams is so poor, and like pity on her? So no, you should not take it. Well, it's difficult. I mean, who can say that where would Mrs. Williams and 7 children will sleep on that night? So taking out everything, the bed, would be really, really not non-humane thing. So even though I'm an economist, I cannot say the furniture company should do that. But if you look at the contract, and if you look at what would happen, my first advice to anyone, the Walker Thomas company or any of my students, don't do this kind of business. When in the end, you would look so bad on newspaper because you have to take away the furniture from such a poor family. So don't do this kind of business. That's the message. So whether your intention was good or not, in the end, the society would not be good on you, and you cannot really make so much money out of it. Things like that. Don't do it. But then, don't do it means the poor family, somebody like Mrs. Williams. Why Mrs. Williams didn't purchase the bed and table and the furniture? She didn't have money. So if Walker Thomas Furniture Company didn't rent her the furnitures, Mrs. Williams couldn't have the bed or table in the first place. So she kind of benefited from this kind of contract until she cannot pay back and all the furnitures would be taken back. So as an economist, it's really difficult because on the one hand, nobody in the world can say you have to take away the furniture, bed and table from the poor family. On the other hand, the natural conclusion from that is don't sell the furniture to the poor company. Don't rent the furniture to the poor company, which in the long run would be a bad thing for the poor company too. So once again, this is not economic issue. This is more like ethical issue. But I'm just telling you, it's not always, but some judges would nullify the contract based on unconscionability, the ethics point of view. Okay, this is the end of contract law. What we are going to do next week is tort law. Tort law is about accident. There's just some accident, something like that. So person A give a harm to person B. And person B says, oh, because of you, I got damaged. My car is damaged. Your car bumped my car, so my car is damaged. So you have to pay me to fix my car, things like that. So it's like car accident is very typical tort. So we are going to get into this tort law, which is like law about this accident and damage kind of thing. Okay? Have a nice week and see you next week.